a small Ozark town, but inside you're going to find a world class art museum and mountain trails that start right in the heart of downtown. And food, boy, it's going to make you forget that you came to town for Walmart. We are talking about Bentonville, Arkansas. Welcome into Destination Heartland today. That's our virtual trip. We're going to Bentonville, Arkansas. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Allison Nation. She is with Visit Bentonville, Chief Marketing Officer for Visit Bentonville. Hi, Allison. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I always start here. So, for people who have never been to Bentonville, tell me about Bentonville in one or two sentences. What should they expect?
Sure. I love to tell people from the top that we're a walkable, bikeable town with something for everyone. So whether you're into food or art or bikes or shopping boutiques, you are going to find something you really enjoy in Bentonville and you'll be ready to come back.
And here's the thing about Bentonville, because it has literally exploded in the last decade. So, what's changed here about the town? I mean, how is it handling all that growth? Because it really has grown a lot.
Sure, sure. So I would say that Northwest Arkansas as a region has grown significantly, and each town has kind of evolved in its own way. Bentonville, being the home of Walmart, has done so in a couple specific ways, and we can track our growth partly to the opening of Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art back in November of 2011, because Bentonville's been the home of Walmart since it started. So, why is it that it's just in this last 10 years or so that it feels like we've transformed? And from my view, it does tie to Crystal Bridges opening, as well as this beginning of building of mountain bike trails, and the Razorback Greenway, which is a paved greenway that's been around for since before Crystal Bridges, that unites all of Northwest Arkansas from Fayetteville, where the University of Arkansas is located, about 20 miles south of Bentonville, all the way north of Bentonville and Bella Vista. So that cycling and walking path has been transformational for our region.
And it is, I have to say, I had just for the first time gone to that region over the summer, and I was so pleasantly surprised. So that leads me to my next question. What surprises people the most when they come to Bentonville?
I think it depends on where they're from. For folks from flying in, from a long ways away, they had no idea about our lush Ozark forests, the foliage that they encounter any time of year except for the winter, really. So that's sort of the first stunner for them, how
Mm-hmm.
beautiful our landscape is. And then for folks nearby, that walkability, that bikeability is so pleasing to discover. Not a lot of towns in the heartland are walkable and bikeable, especially with the range of amenities we have that are bikeable and walkable. We should get a dollar for every time we say those words in this interview. So those are the two things that come to mind. The folks that maybe didn't expect that we have art at the quality and caliber and volume, that's what surprises them. If they haven't heard about our cycling scene, folks are really surprised by that. But here at Visit Bentonville, we're doing so much to help everyone learn about those things. So as we're here today.
I love it. And I mean, we really enjoyed when we came to Bentonville. Just a cute little downtown and just so many things to do there, which Bentonville is kind of known as the home of Walmart. Let's dig in a little bit into the history of the town beyond Walmart too. So what are some of the key moments of Bentonville?
Sure. Ooh, I wish we had our colleague from the Bentonville History Museum here. So if you're into history, that should be your first stop here in Bentonville. Our region in the 1800s up to 1920 was the apple producing capital of the world. We had apple orchards all over this area, and it led to a foundation and transportation for the train system to move those apples out to get them to all of the people around the country that wanted to eat them. So that's sort of the little known fact that you discover when you step into our history museums. Unfortunately, in the 1920s, there was a blight, and the apple orchards were no more. And from there, things like chicken farming became a really great industry for the community. And in the 1950s is when Sam Walton moved to Bentonville and
Uh-huh.
famously opened the Walton Five and Dime and uh, built a global retail company.
Yeah, and what's so cool is the Five and Dime store. I mean, that's kind of where the Walmart Museum is today, right? At least that's what I kind of understood it as.
Right, you got it just right. Our city square, which is a lovely public park, is a great spot to start your visit. Along the square is the Walmart Five and Dime, which is also the Walmart Museum, and Spark Cafe, which is an ice cream parlor. Around the corners, you'll find delicious restaurants, bakeries, Mars on Main, the shop run by Dave and Jenny Mars of Fix You to
Mhm.
Fabulous on HGTV. You'll find bars and hotels and art galleries. So many things to explore right here in our downtown.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful little downtown town square area. Let's talk a little bit about Walmart because this is a company, the Walton family for that matter, played a major role in kind of shaping Bentonville as we know it today.
It's true. I think one thing that's so special about their work is they are at Walmart and the Walton family being two entities is they're both very invested in our region in Northwest Arkansas and Bentonville. And so the long-term knowledge that in order to have a strong, successful company, you have to have a quality and talented workforce. And in order to retain that workforce, the place that they're going to live while they work for you has to be a great place to be. And so for decades, there's a group called Northwest Arkansas Council and many other private and public entities that have worked very closely to invest in our community's quality of life and made very strategic decisions about how to fund and maintain those types of experiences. Even Visit Bentonville as the tourism bureau, our dollars, we are funded by tourism tax, and all of our dollars after we pay our operations are split 50-50 between advertising our city more and investing in parks and capital improvements across our city. So the thoughtfulness that has been put into how to make this a great place to live, which also makes it a great place to visit, has really been foundational to the corporations and the private philanthropy.
So we already talked about the Walmart Museum and also the art museum too. But what are some of the other big attractions in town that people have to put on their must-see list?
Sure. So a lot of folks know about Crystal Bridges. They may not know about the Momentary, which is a contemporary art space just a mile south of our square that's operated and maintained by the same uh, business and nonprofit that run Crystal Bridges. And at the Momentary, you'll find contemporary art exhibitions as well as live music. So for the rest of the summer and into the fall, there'll be big concerts. Rihanna Giddens is coming, Chance the Rapper, Sierra Farrell, Death Cab for Cutie. There's a lot of really big Grammy-winning artists that'll be playing Bentonville outside. So check out the Momentary. Of course, our cycling trails are really important. USA Cycling's national mountain bike team, the athletes that will be training to represent our country in the LA 28 Olympics, they train here in Bentonville. We're their official home base. So that tells you the quality of the mountain biking trails we have, but I think it's great to know that while there are excellent trails that are very challenging, there are also beginner and beginner friendly trails.
Mm-hmm.
And what's special about them is often they run parallel to our greenway. So if you don't even feel like riding a bike, you can send your friends and family that do along on a dirt track and meet them at the other end on the paved path.
Oh, that's cool. So it's kind of like a something for everyone kind of adventure.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit just about, the pathways and that kind of thing, because how close together are these big attractions in town? Are they walkable, bikeable? Kind of set that up for people watching.
Sure. Bentonville is a very small town. So most of the things we've been talking about are in about a 2 to 3 mile radius. And we have three now, lovely boutique hotels right on our square. But if you are a La Quinta person or you always stay at the Hilton Garden Inn, all of our hotels that are in those bigger brand groups are less than 5 miles from our city square. So it's very easy to get into the heart of our city. And once you're there, you can park your car and walk or rent a bike to visit a lot of the places we've been talking about.
We've been, we've kind of already highlighted the art museum, but one thing that I noticed when I was there in Bentonville is that it is a very artsy town. You could find a lot of pieces, especially in that downtown, to kind of capture that artist spirit. So let's talk a little bit about what people can find when it comes to art galleries and public murals, those things that really capture the spirit of Bentonville.
Yes, there's over 325 works of art on view in our
Wow.
public spaces, from murals, sculptures, and installations. All of those are searchable on our website, on our public art map at visitbentonville.com. So, from local artists and muralists like Jason Jones or Paige Dirksen, who have lots of murals around town, to international artists like Stefan Sagmeister or Kevin Lyons, you'll find art in alleyways, on huge monumental parking garages, tucked on water drains. So there's so much to discover, and I think it really speaks to our community's love for art. As the museum was being built, city leaders said, okay, if folks come into town to go to Crystal Bridges, we want them to also come to our square. And if we know they like art, let's make sure there's art downtown. And of course, all of that beauty just increases our residents' quality of life. So there's art that's been collected by our city public art advisory board. There's art on view through a nonprofit called Oz Art Northwest Arkansas. Art that Visit Bentonville has supported its acquisition. So it's an aspect that we're very proud of. We also do have several art galleries right on our square,
Mhm.
and lots of handmade craft and art in our various boutiques.
I love that. And, when you talk about art there captured in town, are there particular neighborhoods that maybe kind of have more of this art scene than others beyond the downtown area?
Yeah, I would say if you're riding or walking along the Razorback Greenway through town, that's where you'll discover a lot of sculptures and murals, as well as through Kohler Mountain Bike Preserve. There's quite a bit of art in there. But even our public library and hotel lobbies have world class art on view.
I love that. And then, since we're on the subject of art, are there any exhibits or art shows coming up that you want to talk about?
Yes. So on view right now until a little bit later in July is a show called America 250 Common Threads at Crystal
Mm.
Bridges, a really lovely exhibition with a lot of loans from the American Folk Art Museum. So when you're there, you really see the presence of the people of the United States of America over this last 250 years, and that's been very popular for folks. 21C Museum Hotel, which is a boutique hotel with a contemporary art museum on its ground floor, they have a show on view now through the end of the year called Supernatural 2.0, and it's really fun. Kids love exploring it. It talks about issues with nature and technology, and is just really fun to explore. Coming up June 6th at Crystal Bridges is Keith Haring in 3D. So the very famous pop artist is really known for all his drawings. Well, they're bringing all the sculptures and three-dimensional things that he drew and painted on. And lastly, I have to mention on July 18th at the Momentary, British artist Lucy Sparrow will open The Beginning of Convenience, which is a big supermarket installation, and every shelf will hold art sculptures she's made. So picture a felt peanut butter jar that she has
Oh,
handcrafted and painted, every shelf full of these little sculptures. It's going to be so playful and fun, and it's also free to see.
oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. From the indoors to the outdoors, which we already talked a little bit about the mountain biking scene there. What kind of outdoor opportunities can people find for recreation when they come to Bentonville?
Mhm. Well, we've talked about mountain biking, but we
Hmm.
also have great bike shops that will rent you just an easygoing e-bike to cruise around. So that's my preference, an e-city bike to just, cruise and see the sights and
Uh
get a
huh.
cup of coffee and not challenge myself in any real dangerous way, because we have wonderful protected bike lanes and greenways and a loop that you can make around the city. So if you're not a cyclist, walking is also an option. All of these mountain bike trails are hikeable and open to pedestrians. So that's something we love to mention. We have many parks. Crystal Bridges and Compton Gardens right off our square are accredited arboretums. So if you love nature, trees, and native plants, there's so much to see and take in. And of course, wildlife that comes with that, deer and lots of birding opportunities. A little bit south of our square at Osage Park, we have the Quiver Archery Range where you
Hmm.
can test out and experiment with archery. So there's a lot of choices.
That sounds like so much fun to try out archery for sure. Man, so many things to see and do there in Bentonville. But what we want to do right now is take a quick break and then we're going to continue our explorations in Bentonville with Allison. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Destination Heartland. Today we are exploring Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart. Yeah, it's been a really fun virtual trip today. I'm going to go ahead and bring back in Allison Nation with Visit Bentonville. Okay, we have talked about so much, but we missed some of the main museums there. So tell us about the ones that we haven't talked about yet.
Sure thing. So, in addition to the Walmart Museum and Crystal Bridges, be sure to check out the Museum of Native American History. It spans all of the Americas from the dawn of the first signs of humans with post archaic projectile points to contemporary craft by indigenous artists. Loveliest place to stop. We also have the Peel Museum and Botanical Garden, which is a historic home back from the days we were an orchard capital. And it's a really lovely Italianate home that is a unique stop in Bentonville because it is in its historic space, but a Walmart supercenter has been built around it. So it's kind
Oh,
of a quirky, fun Bentonville stop. Both of those museums are free. In fact, every museum in our city is free except for one, the Scott Family Museum, which is free for members or folks that have a membership, reciprocal membership from other science museums. And they're still very affordable. There, it's about $14 when you buy a ticket online. And it's an amazing hands on science museum for kids of all ages. But kids 4 to 12 love it the most. Adults also love it. So be sure to check that out.
yeah, the free thing is so important because for especially families doing vacations, free is a very attractive thing for
Mm-hmm.
them for sure.
Yeah, I
Well,
get it.
after exploring all those museums, I'm sure people are going to be hungry because there's so much to do there. So let's kind of talk about the restaurant scene. What can we expect for dining when we come to Bentonville?
Goodness, so many choices. You will be looking at visitbentonville.com to try to get advice on where to go. And we do have guides and reviews of lots of the
Hmm.
restaurants downtown. We've got chef driven restaurants around our square, chefs from our region, as well as from out of town. So Mezzaluna Pastaria and Mozzarella Bar with Chef Sergey Peters, who came to town from Monterey, California. Amazing spot for pasta. We have Bar Clita, which is run by Trey Bazor and his partner Weezy, who he's a native son of Bentonville and went away to study culinary and work in New York and Atlanta. Came back to open his
Wow.
restaurant, Tasty Small Plates. A fun fact about Bentonville is we have a surprising, people can't believe it when they come here, volume of gluten free restaurants. Chef Matthew
Oh.
Cooper opened Conifer a few years back, 100% gluten free restaurant with the best biscuits you could imagine. We also have a vegan coffee and sandwich shop called Third Space Coffee. And goodness, I could keep going, Sharon. Are there any specific aspects of the food scene I can tell you about?
No, you know what I do wonder though is that, one thing about Bentonville is that the food scene has been getting a lot of buzz. So, what do you think is driving just this incredible explosion of growth there?
Goodness. Well, I think it has a little bit to do with folks that have relocated over the years to work for Walmart. Maybe they've
Mm-hmm.
lived in a major city and so they have an expectation about the kind of food. But so many of these folks are also born here, raised here, and really inspired by the farm scene in our
Mm-hmm.
region, the fresh foods to be had, and work with farms to serve, to work, build their menus and get
Mm-hmm.
those dishes out to the table. So when you're out to a restaurant and you see something like uh, maybe a dish has a name in it, that's because that's the farm's name.
Oh, I love that. And, with all these restaurants there that are kind of, starting up, bringing some really well known chefs in, are there any nationally recognized, chefs that people would want to, when they come to town, they definitely want to try the food?
Yeah, so Chef Cooper, who I mentioned, has been James Beard Foundation nominated. So has Chef Rafael Rios, who runs Yayo's on an 8th Street Market, as well as a food
Hmm.
truck on our square. So delicious street tacos. A new development coming soon at Crystal Bridges, Wolfgang Puck Catering will be updating their food scene. So that's
Oh,
something to look forward to as well.
that sounds yummy. When you talk about, because there's just so much as far as dining in Bentonville, is there something that's just typical, like the Bentonville plate when we talk about food in Bentonville?
Well, for an easy on the go must Bentonville experience, my vote is always Crepes Paulette, which is a restaurant at 8th and Main. Now, they
Mm-hmm.
started as a food truck at our farmers market when our farmers market first started. And Paula is the co owner with her husband, Fred, and she is from Bentonville, moved away to France, met her husband, and then they came home to Bentonville. And Crepes Paulette is a handheld crepe shop where you can get a savory crepe or a sweet crepe. They make gluten free, vegetarian, vegan crepes, but also have super yummy, meaty crepes as well. So there's something for everyone there. And it is, I think, my favorite spot to surprise a visitor with because folks have had crepes from all over the world, but ours, I think, are especially delicious.
Okay, well, now you had my attention at crepe, and now I'm going to have to come back to Bentonville to try that because I love crepes. The other thing that I love too is ice cream. Let's talk about some of those special ice cream shops in Bentonville because I know there's one, especially right on the square there.
That's right. Yep. Spark Cafe in the Walmart Museum serves Yarnell's ice cream, which is here from Arkansas, and it's always really affordable, like $1.50 a scoop. So that's a great stop. It's worth the line if you get there and there's a line. And then I think, yes, we're at about 5 other creameries and ice cream shops within our close to city center. So there's super fine ice cream shops serving handmade ice cream. We have a Dumont Creamery, which is actually a franchise out of India, and got some fascinating flavors. We have Trash Ice Cream, which is where you can take your soft serve and blend in all the candy and goodies you want. And
Oh,
recently, Clementine's Micro Creamery out of St. Louis opened a spot on the Walmart campus, and it's a wonderful place to go. So my theory is usually the best ice cream shop is the one closest to where you are at that moment, but we really have a lot of options now.
you sure do. And from the food scene to the ice cream, there's so much for everyone there. Let's talk about, when we move to nighttime entertainment. What about breweries and live entertainment there? What can people find there?
So we have several breweries around our city: Bentonville Brewing, Bike Rack Brewing, and Social Project Brewing. Depending on what zone of the city you're in, are great spots to stop and spend an evening. We also have at least 5 to 10 now bars around our downtown where you can find live jazz or a DJ mixing it up in the evening. The Momentary is also a great nightlife spot. They have music events inside, not just the ones outside that I mentioned earlier. So, depending on if you're looking for a beer or a craft cocktail or open mic, there's a spot for you.
I love that. And of course, the other partner to dining is shopping, right? So let's dig into that right now. What can visitors find when it comes to shopping in Bentonville?
Yeah, so around our downtown square, there is a lot of gallery and boutique type environments with clothing and accessories for mostly women, but there are a few shops for men kind of leaning into that outdoor gear side, like a Bearded Goat or a Gearhead Outfitters.
Mhm.
There's a shop called Label that has some wonderful fashion brands for those that are looking for something a little more of a statement piece, and it's a beautiful space, so definitely a spot to stop. There's used bookstores as well as new bookstores like Two Friends Books and Cafe, independent woman-owned shop. And next door to them soon we'll have Yarn Alchemy moving in, a locally owned yarn store for all of the knitters and crocheters to get their craft fix.
Lots of just unique establishments that people can go and visit and kind of really get that Bentonville experience. What about farmers markets and those types of things? Because I mean, that downtown area is perfect for farmers markets.
I'm so glad you asked. So, our Downtown Bentonville Inc. Association presents our farmers market, and they were just recognized by USA Today's Reader's Choice Award as the number 4 farmers market in the US. So,
Oh, wow.
it's definitely worth coming here on a Saturday. The outside farmers market runs from mid to early April through October, every
Hmm.
Saturday from 7 to 2. And then in the off months, they're at an indoor market, which is just as fun, frankly, just a fewer dogs and pets and things, because that is the kind of fun, the most fun part beyond shopping is getting to see all the pet parade that people are out enjoying in the morning. So farmers markets are excellent, and every first Friday from April to October,
Hmm.
there's also a festival on our square, live music, vendors, food trucks. So weekends are a great time to be here.
Yeah, it really just sounds like, there's always something going on. Let's talk about some of the key seasonal events and festivals that we can find when we come to town.
Mhm. So let's see, seasonal events beyond, when you say seasonal, Sharon, I think about spring color and fall
Hmm.
color, which isn't exactly the festival side, but I just have to mention that with the beautiful woods that we have,
Uh-huh.
redbuds and dogwoods blooming in March and April are just so lovely to experience. And then in October, late October, early November is when we see that fall color come on, and just a wonderful time to be here. So festival side, coming up soon, we have Bentonville Bike Fest, June 12th through the 14th. And then the following weekend will be Bentonville Film Fest, which is a film festival co-chaired by Gina Davis.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful, two very amazing times to be in Bentonville for bikes and film.
Hmm.
And then in August, we'll see our hot air balloon festival, SOAR Northwest Arkansas, come back to town, which is a really fun event as well. In October, we see a major cycling week. Lifetime hosts the Big Sugar Classic, which involves a mountain bike race on one weekend and a gravel bike race on the next weekend. And we see, novice or what's the word, amateur
Hmm.
hobby cyclists coming out, but we
Uh-huh.
also see professional, you know, mountain bikers and gravel riders who are about to be in the running for significant cash prizes and going out to World Cups and Olympics and things like that. So it's a really fun time to spectate the cycling scene in Bentonville.
Yeah, no doubt. That just, Bentonville just sounds like one of those places where there's always something to do. So, really, I mean, it's hard to even pinpoint what's the best time to come visit.
I think that it really, thinking about what you want to do while you're here. If you want
Hmm.
to bring a book and relax in the woods and look at art, any day of the week is great, any time of year. If you want to plan your trip around a concert, look at that momentary concert schedule and book that ticket as soon as it's released so you're sure you got your spot, and then come on down. Um, or if you're that kind of like seasonal person, I love to go somewhere with the trees blooming and the flowers blooming. So that springtime is a great time. So check out visitbentonville.com. We've got seasonal guides and we've got event roundups to really help you explore.
I love that. And speaking of explore, how long should people plan a visit for if they come to Bentonville?
A 3-day weekend used to be a good allotment. Now, with Crystal Bridges opening their expansion on June 6th and 7th and having double the gallery space, I think a 4-day trip for the art museum and all of the art experiences would probably be best. And we hear from cyclists that a 3 to 5 day trip is what really allows them time to see all the trails that they'd hope to see.
Oh, I love it. And so before we go, maybe somebody who's kind of on the fence thinking, oh, this sounds really cool. I want to come visit Bentonville. What's that last thing you want to say that's like, you got to come, you got to come to Bentonville. You don't want to miss this here.
Gosh, I think maybe it's always fun to be the first person in your friend group to do something new.
Uh-huh.
So, uh, and once you've been down, you can bring them along for the next trip and wow them with all the fun to be had.
Great point. Love that. And we will end on that. Thank you so much for joining me today for Destination Heartland, Allison. We can't wait to get out there. And well, for me, I can't wait to come back and further explore Bentonville.
Thank you. Yes, can't wait to see you.
From the museums to the food to the trails, there's so much in Bentonville. We certainly hope you enjoyed our virtual trip today. Until our next one, I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV 5 News for Destination Heartland.